SicCooper here, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about and showing you guys my top 10 favorite Nintendo 64 games. Now before I get started, I just want to mention that, this list may change over time and it has been different in the past. This is just, what I feel is my top 10 as I'm doing this video. And of course there's lots of games that I haven't played, and lots of games that I will play in the future. So like I said, the list may change, but this is just what I'm feeling right now. So let's get started. And with number 10, I have Mario Kart 64. Now, some people might be thinking, why is Mario Kart 64, 10 on your list? It's a great game, and yes it is. If it wasn't, of course it wouldn't be in my top 10. But, growing up, I did own Mario Kart, and I did play it a lot with my family and friends, and had a lot of fun. But, of course, there's, games that I think are more fun, which is why it's at number 10, but it is still a great game. And a lot of people, compare it to Diddy Kong Racing, and some people will even say that one's better. I never played Diddy Kong Racing as a kid, so, it's hard to say that Diddy Kong's better. I do really enjoy Mario Kart. I just wish that there were, things that you could unlock, like extra characters and levels and stuff like that. The battle mode, though, is very fun, and I played that a lot as a kid. So Mario Kart 64 comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is a game that I rented as a kid, and I actually borrowed from a friend. I never owned it myself, but I've beat it multiple times, and that is Pokemon Snap. So like I said, I rented this game when I was a kid from Blockbuster, and I think I might have rented it a few times actually, but this game is very fun. If you're not familiar with the game, it's basically a game where you take pictures of Pokemon, and the goal is to try and, take at least one photo of every Pokemon in the game, and you can get more points for your photos depending on like if the Pokemon is centered, how big it is in the image, and if it's doing like a special move or if there's more than one of them and stuff like that. And it's pretty fun. There's multiple courses, and there's different items you can get. You can get like apples or rocks or different stuff, and it's very fun. And I remember going to Blockbuster when I was a kid and actually taking in my memory card with you can like save your pictures to a memory card, and they used to have these things in Blockbusters called Pokemon Snap Stations, and you could take your memory card in with the pictures on them and plug them into the machine and print out your pictures and make little like stickers out of them, which was really cool. And I used to do that when I was a kid. And later they converted the Pokemon Snap Stations into a Pokemon Stadium thing, which was different, but I'm always looking for a Pokemon Snap Station, and that's like the #1 thing that I want to add to my collection. So if any of you out there happen to have one or know where one is, please let me know. And that is Pokemon Snap at number 9. Coming in at number 8 on my list is a sports game, but it's not a typical sports game. It is Mario Tennis. Now, I rented this game as a kid too. I never owned it myself until, later when I started collecting, but it is a great game. And, there's also like Mario Golf, which I never really got into. It's Mario, but it's still a golf game, and this one is still tennis, but it's Mario, but it still has like a special charm to it, which, all the Mario games kind of have, and the playable characters in it is what really attracted me to the game when I was a kid, because, playing Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and, all these other games, there were only, a few characters you could pick from, just the main ones like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, and sometimes Wario and stuff. But in Mario Tennis you had some other characters that were kind of unique to the game at the time, and that's what really drew me to the game at first. But it's actually a pretty fun game, and I used to play it a lot with my neighbor growing up, and it's very cool. So Mario Tennis comes in at number 8. Next on the list, coming in at number 7, is a game that I never played as a kid, and the first time I played it was only a couple years ago, and that is Gauntlet Legends. Now I know that this is a multi-platform game. It was released on like the Dreamcast and stuff, but I've only played the N64 version, and I love that game. I first played it a couple years ago, like I said, and I actually beat the entire game with my friend Cassidy. We played it on co-op and played through the whole game. It was a game that he played as a kid, so he kind of knew what was going on, but It was very fun, and I really liked the experience of playing through a brand new game all the way through for the N64. You know, there's new games that come out that you play, but you know, it's kind of cool to go back and find a game like this where, you know, it's a semi-popular title, but it was one that I never played. So to go back and, you know, play through it and actually enjoy it like a lot, enough to put it in my top 10, was very cool. I think it's kind of rare when you go back and find an old game that becomes one of your favorites, and that's always a cool thing to do. So Gauntlet Legends coming in at number 7. Number 6 on the list is Super Smash Bros. Now this is the first game in the series, and from what I understand, originally it was just supposed to be like a regular kind of fighting game, and then they had the idea to throw in Nintendo characters just to kind of test out the mechanics of the game, and ended up loving it, and then turned it into, you know, Smash Brothers. And, you know, of course this is a game that I played as a kid. I think most people who played N64 as a kid played that game. And I did own that one, and so did my friends, and we used to play it all the time, and, you know, try and unlock all the characters and everything. And it obviously started an amazing series and franchise, which, you know, all the games in the series are great. Melee is probably my favorite one, but the one for 64 is very good, and because this is a top 10 for 64, and not just of all time, of course I've got to include Smash Brothers on the N64. And I always like to play as Captain Falcon or Fox. You know, just a very, very cool game, and, you know, the later ones I think are a little bit better. Just, you know, obviously technology advances and they're able to create better games, but the original one is still very awesome, and it comes in at number 6 on my list. Next, coming in at number 5, is another sports game. Now this one is an actual sports game, not a Mario game, and that is 1080 Snowboarding. Now this is another game that I had as a kid. You know, I think a lot of people that grow up with certain games, they tend to, you know, be their favorites over time, and this one is definitely one of my favorite games. And, you know, like I said, I had it growing up, and I actually played this a lot with my family. And my mom, who, you know, didn't really play a lot of games, I mainly played with my dad, but my mom actually enjoyed that game and would play every now and then, so it was cool to kind of share that with, you know, my mom and dad, and also my younger sister. And everyone enjoys the game. It's very cool. And my sister, actually, she's 4.5 years younger than me, and she, when she went away to college, she wanted an N64, and I was able to find her one in some games and everything, and that was one of the games that she wanted. She definitely wanted that one, and that was cool. You know, I played the one on the GameCube as well, and they're both great games. The N64 one is much better in my opinion, and it's just, you know, it's just a very smooth feeling game. The controls are great, and everything about it just, it's very very nostalgic to me. But also, it's just a great game overall, and if you haven't played it, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is kind of a, you know, a semi-popular title, being a, you know, a Nintendo-made game, but definitely check out 1080, and that comes in at number 5 on my list. Next, coming in at number 4, is a game that I played as a kid. I never owned it as a kid, my friend had it, but I played it a lot at his house and also borrowed it a couple times, and it's a game that a lot of people haven't heard of, and, you know, after watching this video, if you don't at least check out, you know, some more gameplay or pick up the game if you can find it, you're doing yourself a disservice, because this is a great game, and this is Mischief Makers. Now, if you want to check out like a full review of this game, Glenn Plant did a review on his channel, so you can check that out if you're interested in seeing, you know, some more gameplay and some more information about the game. But this is a game that I beat just a couple years ago with my friend Cassidy. Once again, we beat Gauntlet Legends, and in like the same week we also played through Mischief Makers. And it's not a multiplayer game, but we took turns playing one level, so I played the first one, he played the second one, and so forth. The controls in the game are a little difficult to get used to at first, using like the C buttons to move and stuff, but you know, once you get a hang of it, it's a really great game, and it's very unique on the N64. When you first look at it, you'd think it'd be like a 3D, platformer, but it's actually a side scroller, and it's 2D, and it's very cool. There's lots of like weird mechanics in the game where you can combine different items into a pot and then shake them up and create a new item and stuff like that. And you can pick up all the people and shake them and kind of like pickpocket them and steal their money. And you can ride a tricycle in the game, and you fight bosses and all this stuff. It's a very, very cool game. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend picking it up. Next up on my list at number 3 is a game that I couldn't really keep it to one game because I like all 3 of them, and that is the Mario Party series. And I have 1, 2, and 3 here on the N64, and I think all of them up to 7 are great. I didn't enjoy number 8 on the Wii, and I haven't played number 9, but the first 3 are the best in my opinion, and I really like number 1 because that was the one that I played as a kid, and my friend had it. I don't think I owned it myself, but I did play it a lot at his house, and it's a great game. All of them are great, but the first one definitely, in my opinion, is the best one. It had the most, the most creative mini games, and there's only so much you can do with mini games, so they're kind of, getting watered down now with the newer ones. But the first one is great. I love playing through, the mini game mode where you just go through and play each mini game and you have to, try and progress. And when I was a kid, I would always get stuck on one of them, and I think it was the one where you're skateboarding away from the piranha plant and the 3 characters are jumping on the cloud to, they're ground pounding on the cloud to make it rain, make the piranha plant grow bigger. I got stuck on that one as a kid and could never get past that. And, now that I've played it when I'm older, I've beat that whole thing, and, I've beat the game and everything. It's very awesome. And I'm sure you guys have checked out Mario Party. It's not an uncommon game, but that is number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2 is a great game, and unfortunately a game that I've never beaten. And I know that some people will think I'm crazy and, tell me I need to beat it right away. And I can tell you that I've tried, and it's a game that I played as a kid, but, never got that far in it, and that's why I haven't gotten that far in it now, because everything that I kind of play in it is a little new. But that game is Banjo-Kazooie. Now, the first one I think is much better than the second one. I've played the second one for a little while and just wasn't really feeling it. I didn't really get into the second one, but the first one is awesome. And I don't know how long the game is since I haven't beaten it, but I have gotten a decent way through. The first levels though are my favorites, and it kind of seems like as it goes on the levels get a little darker, and I always like the first levels more. The first one, I think it's Mumbo Mountain or something, and then the Terror Trove Cove. Those 2 levels are awesome. I love the more, upbeat, happy, bright levels, and then you get to like the pyramid level and the swamp levels and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I seem to, like, when I play the game, I'll get to those levels, and then I'll kind of, fizzle away and not play it after that. I would like to complete the game because it is very awesome, and, of course I will play it and beat it one day. But yeah, Banjo-Kazooie is a great game, and like I said, check it out, if you haven't. I'm sure you have if you own a 64, but yeah, so Banjo-Kazooie comes in at number 2. Now, the number 1 game on my list is not going to be surprising to anyone, especially if you know me or have watched any of my videos. I've probably mentioned this 100 times, that this is my favorite game, not only on the N64, but my favorite game of all time. And this is actually one of the first video games that I ever beat 100% by myself, and that is Super Mario 64. Now, this game is one of the first games that I got with the N64 when I was a kid, and we had a PlayStation 1 first, and then my dad brought home an N64 one day, and he had Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings. And I never really got into Pilot Wings, that's why it's not in this video, but Super Mario 64 was like, it was like my life started then. This game is amazing. I still play this game, all the time. I usually go back and beat it once every couple years, and like I said, this is one of the first games that I beat by myself. And I think maybe the only ones before this that I beat by myself were like Pokemon on the Game Boy. So, playing this game and beating this was a very cool experience when I was a kid, you know. And I remember getting to the first time you fight Bowser, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the game! And I got really excited and thought that that was the end, and, you know, just like disregarding the fact that there's 2 doors with keyholes on them, and, you know, thinking that that little first room is the whole game. But it's just great overall, and there's a lot of games out there that, you know, they start off really well and then they just kind of seem to drag on and, you know, get boring as they go on, I guess. But this is definitely not one of them. Every single level in this game is great, and the only ones that I can kind of complain about are the water levels, but even those ones are still great. And, you know, you gotta have a couple water levels with any Mario game, so, you know, take the good with the bad. But even the water levels, like I said, are great, and I think this will always be my favorite game of all time, you know, with, you know, all the nostalgia that I have with it, and even still enjoying it to this day. You know, I don't really see any game ever knocking that out of my #1 spot, you know, like I said, not only for the N64, but of all time. It's a very great game, and I'm sure you guys have checked it out. If you haven't, you can pick it up on the N64, or they did a re-release version on the DS, which is even cheaper. So, you know, if you can't find or you can't afford the N64 version, you can pick up the DS one for about 10 bucks. But, you know, I'm sure you guys have played it. Everyone's played it. Everyone loves it. It's always on people's top 10 list, and, you know, sorry to be generic with my top 10 list here with some of these, but, you know, there's just a lot of great games on the N64, and if you guys are interested, I might do another top 10, but not include these ones, just do a top 10 more uncommon, obscure games. If you guys are interested in that, just please comment below and let me know. But that'll be my top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to hit the like button and thumbs up the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.